Hello once again, welcome to another episode of Darth Tuba's Star Wars Unboxing Show. I'm your host, Darth Tuba. Be sure to check out all my videos on my Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube. Like, subscribe, share, do all that wonderful stuff, and spread the word. Okay, so today we have kind of a mishmash of different acquisitions that came across over the course of the last few weeks. Some things we're doing the old-fashioned, what we call toy runs, where we actually go from store to store, us collectors, and try to find items that are fairly new. And then some of it, when we get tired of toy runs that kind of are fruitless and have no don't result in anything, we go on to places like Amazon or eBay or Hasbro, Toyshop.com, and we find product that way, and eventually that stuff comes in the mail if we pre-order it or what have you. So we've kind of got a mixture of everything. So what we have today, starting with this one, we have a Tusken Raider for a 6-inch Black Series. This one actually came in the mail from Amazon, and it was less money than the figures were normally in the store. They have repackaged this one in the 40th anniversary, racing stripe version of the toy, like the vintage 40th anniversary collection version. But I'm going to open up any of those that I get anyway, for the most part. So I found this one for a little less. I said, well, I'm going to open it up, so we'll use this one. And then we have the final titanium of the 5 grouping of we had I already had and opened up on an episode Han, Leia, Luke, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ben Kenobi, and the only one left was Darth Vader. So we want to get this one opened up as well. And we have a really cool Hot Wheels Rogue One 2-pack. I'm trying to remember. I thought I might have had this one already, but I looked back and I don't think so. This is a damaged, looks like a battle damaged Stormtrooper, okay, and the Death Trooper. So they're slightly different cars. I will say that I'm not one for variations. Okay, I don't try to get every different type of figure, every different type of car, every different type of model, whatever. I generally try to get one, unless it's a completely different repaint or a completely different character. And there's a funny story that goes along with that, and I think I might have told it, but it came when I was trying to collect every single figure that had come out, and at one point there were figures just coming everywhere. I mean, they were all over the walls, they were all over the shelves, they were hanging from the rafters, and I just said, you know what, enough is enough. I gotta look through these. So I lined them up, and I realized that, for say, pick one figure, pick Han Solo dressed in his winter coat. I must have had 10 different versions of that. Now, so when I looked at them, and I kind of said, okay, these are different sculpts, so I separated them, and I said, okay, these are mostly the same, but they have maybe one different weapon or something. I put them all aside, and I ended up selling them on eBay. And I'll tell you, I didn't really sell them to make a profit. I just sold them to help out other collectors, and I did. And I sold it for less money than what they would have to pay in a store. But I made a little money back, and they were happy for the deal to help their collection. So it all worked out. And I didn't need to have 27 Han Solos. So that kind of thing happens. So, but every now and then, if it comes, like, they'll do this kind of thing. They'll do a 2-pack that will have one character, vehicle, or what have you, that is more unique than the other. But sometimes, at least in this case, they painted up the other one differently. So that'll be fun. And then lastly but not least, we have one of these 5-packs. Now, I have to say, there are people that are not going to be happy with this, but I've decided to, even though this is an unboxing show, and certain people out there, and you know who you are, Skywalking to Neverland, Richard Woloski. Anyway, you people know who you are. I have decided not to unbox this. I know, it's an unboxing show. Please don't get mad at me. I still have 3 other items that I'll unbox. But the reason that I didn't want to unbox this one is essentially, it is a 5-pack. 4 vehicles are vehicles that have already come out, and 4 vehicles that we've already collected over the course of the last year or two. We have Chewbacca, Han Solo car, Rey car, Poe Dameron car. And what I love about them is that they're all essentially, geared mostly, I think Chewbacca is probably the same as any Chewbacca car, but the Han Solo, the Rey, and the Poe Dameron cars are, obviously geared toward their characters in The Force Awakens. But then it came with one little tiny extra one over here on the end, and that is Maz Kanata, which is an adorable looking But because I already have these 4, I believe, or at least I have a variation on these 4, loose. I think I'm going to let this one stay in the box for a while. Maybe I'll open it up another day, but for now, since I don't have too many things in the box, I can let this one go. So we're going to kind of push this one off to the side here, and we'll start with, we'll kind of go backwards order. We'll start with our Rogue One 2-pack here. Love the Death Trooper, by the way. I thought it was a unique addition to the Star Wars mythos. But, and it actually looks like, it's hard to see from the camera, but it actually looks like there might even be a little bit of battle damage on this one as well. Not, just scuff marks more than anything else. And then you have, of course, the Stormtrooper with a lot more paint scheme battle damage. So that's pretty cool. All right, so they'll add a nice thing. Again, I'm still trying to figure out, and I would appreciate any suggestions. I'm still trying to figure out the best way to display these. Being that they're loose, putting them on a shelf without any other kind of protection is not good because they do that. And I have a couple on a little shelf up top over off camera, and if I ever have to move it, I move it like a slight inch, and then all the cars fall off. Thankfully, I have a soft padded ground, so nothing gets damaged. But still, it's a challenge to figure something out. I know they have Matchbox car like acrylic display cases. I'm thinking about one of those. What I really wish Hot Wheels would do is come up with some kind of Hot Wheels display case that's specifically Star Wars based. If they did that, I would get it in a heartbeat and just put all the cars in there, maybe open it up and display it that way. So if anybody who knows anybody, who's friends with anybody, whose cousin's former roommate worked at some point at Hot Wheels, pass that information along. All right. Next up, we have our titanium Darth Vader. I do like the titanium figure display pieces. I think that they work well by themselves. I don't think they need to be. The display unit is great. I like it has the option of the back or the front. I've been using the actual imagery in there. It has these interesting pegs on the bottom, as I've mentioned in the past, which I think is really cool. I think it's a neat way to give yourself a little bit of option. And I don't know, the peg thing on the feet just doesn't always seem to work. It's really funny how often it doesn't work. Whether it's, Hasbro, I think they had a pretty good system with those little tiny rectangular bases that said Star Wars or Empire, whatever the movie that character was in. I thought that was pretty good. I thought they did a nice job with that. But then, unfortunately, some of the figures didn't stay on there, or maybe they stayed at first, but they didn't last. And it was just an annoyance. And then other third-party companies try to come up with something, and in the end his other sabers getting issues there. In the end, there was a little disc thing you could stand in. There was another flat piece. They had these little 2 things that fit on the feet. None of them worked to the level that any collector would want them to work. Okay, Vader, what do we got here? You have... He is in a tough spot. I'm not exactly sure how to get up. Maybe... I'm really not sure how to get him out. Looks like his cape. Okay, that was just plastic. Good. Not part of the figure. Oh, goodness. I actually had to... There we go. Whew. That was a challenge and a half. All right, so let's see. Vader without his cape. Kind of looks weird. Let's get the cape back on there. There we go. Okay, good. And then we do our... I like the kind of action saber that kind of goes whoosh, it's some people don't like it, but I'm like, guys, give as many options as we can. Why not, right? The options are a good thing. They're not a bad thing. We want to have different... Some people want to display it in various different ways. Other people... I found this is something else I've learned. If you try to do it vertical, the pegs fall out again, then you get frustrated. So you do one, then align the other. And there you go. You have it lined up there. I usually take the other 2 pegs and just kind of line it up in there at one of the free peg areas. I don't know why they do that. It doesn't seem as though these things would have many options as to where you can put the pegs, but I guess there's ways to do it. All right, and I'll kind of, he has a space ready for him with all the other 4 titanium figures. Really neat idea. I hope they don't continue it. I like small, short series types of things. I think that's a much better way to go, to try to make, every time a new series comes out, us collectors get, some of us get a little nervous. For example, it's fun. I don't think I've done an unboxing yet with the Gentle Giant jumbo figures. Those are essentially, if you take the original vintage 3 3/4 inch figures, and they essentially blew them up to same exact model, but like blown up to a 12-inch size, with a similar box and everything. They came out with one at a convention, and then they came out with the second one at another convention, and they were great, and people paid money, decent amount of money for them each. And then they started coming out with a third one, and then a fourth one, then a fifth one, and then eventually I believe they have like 50 of the original 94 figures available. I don't know if they're going to finish them. I'm kind of hoping they don't. What they've started doing, they come out with one here and one there, but now they've delved into other things like G.I. Joe and superpowers, like the Super Friends. There's all sorts of other ones. So I don't know. Maybe they just feel like they've kind of hit the ceiling a little bit. They don't want to go any further, which I would be happy about, because it's a nice display. There's options. If you keep making them and keep making variations, it's just going to become a point. Every collector is going to say, well, we got to stop at some point. So lastly for today, we have the 6-inch Tusken Raider, or Sand People. Interesting piece of Star Wars trivia that I found out. If you watch the Empire of Dreams, I think, movie, documentary of the making of the original trilogy, I want to say Peter Diamond, who I think was the stunt coordinator on the original Star Wars trilogy, he told this great story about how when he was like the one stuntman in Tunisia, and he was the one person kind of doing his thing, and there was a scene where there are 2 banthas down there. Luke's looking at the binoculars, and then one comes up and starts fighting him. That scene, it was just him and Luke, Mark Hamill, and he did something where he's fighting him back forth, and then you get a close up of him kind of going. Well, apparently he went like, and that was the end of the scene. So the editors had to toggle back and forth with what he did to make it seem more menacing and lengthen the scene a half a second or so. And there was all sorts of tricks like that the editors did to make the movie more exciting or make more sense. So I always thought that was a really cool little fun fact that it's when you think about the people that it takes to put a movie together, that to make it something special, there's a lot of people that go into it. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of different different elements, and it's just it's really fascinating to see that and to see what he ended up having to do. This is interesting. The whole cloak idea had to be kind of set up in the back here. All right, this guy is he seems to come with a couple of different options, which I find interesting. I generally do keep these boxes, not just because if I ever do want to sell them back, it'd be nice to offer a collector, as much of the original packaging as possible. But the other thing that I find interesting about it is that this is almost like one of those like Hot Toys or Sideshow figures where they actually come with like optional pieces here. I'm going to give this guy his gun on one hand. That's another thing. What's nice about these hands is that they kind of open up a little bit, so you can kind of fit it in there. I'll probably do it. And then I'm going to give him his gaffy stick. And then I'm going to give him a little bit of a posed position here. I have some stands I can probably use with him. He has a couple of different gaffy stick extenders. I guess different options for different scenes. And they give him that. Oh, always a good sign when a figure stands on his own 2 feet with very little prodding from me. But now this box, if I ever do want to put it back in the box, even if I want to display them back in the box, I'm not a big fan of the boxes. I mean, the black ink with the line drawing. I mean, I think that I'm a person who likes to see lots of color. I like to see more imagery, whether it's a photo or even an illustration, a full color illustration like they did with Force Awakens. I think that's a far better way to go. But they wanted to make a unique statement with these, and I appreciate that. But I'm just not a fan. But I do keep the 6-inch boxes because if I ever do decide I want to get rid of them or sell them or maybe just display them differently, I have some options with these. But I like the Tusken Raider figure. I did take a good closer look at the figure compared to the one that's coming out for the 40th anniversary. They're virtually the same. So there might be some additional accessories or things of that nature. But all in all, they're really great. And I do appreciate the ability for toy collectors to pose, to do different things with the figures. And I think it's a nice contrast to the 3 3/4 inch. Some people don't like them at all. They think the 3 3/4 inch is it. That was Star Wars' wheelhouse. We should not go beyond that. I appreciate that opinion, but I really think that the 6-inch figures do a great job as well. And as long as they don't go too overboard, I really do not want a 6-inch version of the Millennium Falcon. That would be about the size of this table, and I literally don't have any room to put something of that nature. But I understand that there was going to be a Luke Skywalker land speeder, a dewback. There's been a dewback. There has been a speeder bike. So there's a few little things I think you can do and have some fun with. So I don't mind that. But that, as I said, will do it for this week's episode of Darth Tuba Star Wars Unboxing Show. For those who were really looking forward to me taking out the Maz Kanata, my apologies. It may happen someday. Don't get your hopes up, but it might. Okay, I do have a couple of these that I've kept in the box. There are some things I keep in the box. Sometimes it's never really for value's sake, I should say that. It's never really because, I'm going to sell it someday and make $1 million. I am no fool. I know that even if it says exclusive on it, okay, you're probably, and this is a good thing for young collectors getting started, if you're looking to do this to invest, don't. Do not. The exception to that rule would be Lego. If you want to invest in high-end Lego, be my guest. Because I will tell you that Lego does tend to yield, if you buy really high-end sets, take and put them in storage safely somewhere, and then in 10 years sell them, they're always built they're always manufactured with a shelf life. There's a point where they're going to stop making them. Now, some pieces they repeat, but there are collectors that want the original 19 whatever year or 2000 whatever year version, and they'll be willing to pay a lot of money. Some of them just to get the figures, just to get the minifigures. So there is a collectible market for those. As far as everything else is concerned, though, I think it's you pay what you want to pay as a collector. And there's so much product out there that it just doesn't make a lot of sense to try to do this for a financial gain. Most collectors will tell you that, particularly people who collect the modern line of anything. Okay, but I do like this display unit. I like the clear box. I know sometimes we mentioned in previous episodes the clear box can get damaged. As long as it doesn't get damaged, I'll probably keep it in there for a while. All right, but the other stuff we opened looks pretty good. The Tusken Raider will find a space in my 40th anniversary early bird kit display. Vader will find his place alongside all of the other figures. And the two cars, well, we're still looking for a way to display all the Hot Wheels. So waiting, bated breath, Hot Wheels, come up with something for Star Wars fans. It'd be really awesome. Okay, so that'll do it for today's episode of Darth Tuba Star Wars Unboxing Show. Please subscribe, like, share, do all that awesome stuff. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, at Darth Tuba. And check me out on my Darth Tuba Star Wars Unboxing page. Like and become a member there, and you can get the videos up. You'll get notified. You'll get notified. When new videos come up. Again, most videos come out Wednesdays and Sundays at some point during each of those days. Thank you very much, and may the force be with you.